Now, that's a D7 chord. That's enough to be a D7 chord. And if you take it down a half step, you've inverted the third and the 7, and it's become a G7 chord. And if you take it down another half step, you've inverted back to the original 7-3, and you've got a third 7, and you've got the C7 chord. F, B flat, E flat. You can keep doing that. So when you play these two notes in for example, if you play it in da 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 da, Sweet Georgia Brown, no gal made us got a see. No gal made us got a shade on Sweet Georgia Brown. Two left feet, but oh so neat had Sweet Georgia Brown. They all sigh and they want to die for Sweet Georgia Brown. Now that's a C7, you know I don't, and you want to go to F, so you don't want to put the 7 in the F chord, because it would mean you're going on. You want to go back to the F up here and the A. So once you leave the C7, you go to F. C7, F, C7, F. You can hear that. Now, if you want to play the melodies in there in ragtime form, then you do it. You go, right? It's right under your hand. You got D open string. You make an E9. You go to F sharp the third. Down the open D. A, F sharp, B, A. So you've got no gal maid has got shoot. No gal maid has got a shade. So you got everything under your hand for playing ragtime, and then you go to the G7, da da da, the F natural, da 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 da, the B. So everything becomes under your hand, laying this way. Now next, which is really strange, is if you remember the D7 on the top two strings, if you notice, and I go all the way across, I have doubled both of them. I have F sharp C, and what do I have out here? F sharp and C. So I have F sharp C, F sharp C. Down to the G, I have the 7th, the F to the B, third, and the F to the B, and then go down the same thing to the C7. So I have the same thirds and 7ths, or 7ths and thirds, in all the way up in those octaves. Consequently, now everything is becoming chromatic, and that's where the modern people take over. Because if you flat the 5 in the chord, rather than having the A in the D7 chord, if it's a flat, if it's a D7 with a flat 5 chord, like the modern players play, and then you go to the G7 with the, you go to the G7 with a flat 5, you've got, let me catch it here again, you've got the F sharp, here's the D7. To flat the 5, you bring this down and put the A flat in it. Now if we take that all down a half step, the G becomes open, which you've got a G7 with a flat 5, the D on the bottom. So everything becomes chromatic. So if we take it up here in the 3 chords, for example, here's your F sharp, the 7, C, the 3rd, and here would normally be your A, which is the same as the open A. If you put that A back to a flat 5, you become this. Now if you look at it, you're going to tell me, wait a minute, that's an A flat 7 chord. Yes, it is. If you make a D7 flat 5, it's also an A flat 7 chord. And then if you add it all the way through with a flat 5, you have an A flat 7 flat 5, which means you've cut the scale in half. A D7 flat 5 is the exactly same notes as an A flat 7 flat 5. Exact same notes in a different inversion. Exact same notes in a different inversion with a different root name. Different root name. There's the important thing, the root name. Because if we call this a D7 flat 5 chord, and we can also call it an A flat 7 flat 5, then look what happens when we move down to G. It becomes a G7. And look what happens when it goes down one more. It becomes a C7 with a flat 5, F7 with a flat 5, B flat 7 flat 5, E flat 7 flat 5. So this means once you've gone from D up to A, the sixth, D, E, F, G, A, let me get it straight here now. What's happening is this is becoming a D7 flat 5 and an A flat 7 flat 5. So that means that we've cut the scale in half. You no longer have, after you hit a certain point, you no longer have any different chords. You only have 6 of this form. You only have 6 of those till you repeat them. The same as in a diminished chord, you only have 3 till you repeat it. And an augmented chord, you only have 4 till you repeat it. So you, in these chords, a diminished chord, which becomes a flat 9 in most cases, and an augmented chord, and in the flat 5 chord, you're eliminating a lot of the scale. You're really cutting everything into halves. So that means it makes it very much more chromatic when you play very modern, and you're playing very little differences in what you do. We're getting too modern. I'll stop it for now because we'll have to explain it a little more later. But for now, just remember, if you flat the 5 in a cycle of 5th chords, in the cycle of 5s, if you flat the 5s, the 5th tones, you cut the scale in half and you're starting very modern.